Welcome to the Thought Leaders video blog, where industry executives share their insights and vision in today's landscape of live entertainment.
Craig Kelley, thanks for joining us today. Really excited to have you, CMO at USC. Thanks for sharing some time with us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so let's jump into it. So, right now, I think there's an awakening happening across the country with positive protests around Black Lives Matter and some important, civil discussions happening. So how are you doing personally? Do you think this is a platform for real change?
Well, personally, it's been challenging. Obviously, there's a lot of layers to what's been going on the last few months. Becoming a fourth grade math teacher, the COVID has changed a lot from that perspective. But as far as Black Lives Matter, raising two Black males, 6 and 10, has been challenging. They ask very direct questions, and sometimes you don't have very direct answers. And I found that, I haven't been prepared as probably as I would have liked to talk about some of the concerns that we deal with as Black Americans. And, while police brutality, I think, was kind of the spark to what has become this Black Lives Matter movement, the way that it has become. There's other issues in the community. There's housing, there's healthcare, and education, which is something we preach heavily on our children. And the reason why we made a recent move to where we live now to get them what we feel is a better opportunity and a better education. And so, and to also teach them behaviors that in some ways can ultimately save their life. I mean, there's things that we as African-American males, do to kind of calm situations or, bring down any tensions that people may have. And so trying to teach those things to young, Black children based on what they see has been somewhat challenging. But I think my wife and I are headed in the right direction. And, it's just an added layer of complexity to what parenthood already brings.
Yep.
But we're moving in the right direction. And I think, through all this, that the peaceful protests are important. I think the next layer to this is, to educate. We have to educate the people that are out there, the reasons why these things are being done, and what are we looking for? What does real reform look like? And build that platform and be able to communicate that to the masses. And what do we want? How do we make that change? Is it voting, policies, empowering the people within our communities and finding ways to be, to find positive change? And I think this is an opportunity for real change because it's just more than the Black community. There's so many different races and genders and ethnicities that are involved in this that's important, but we can't let our foot off the gas. We have to keep moving. So many times I think we get to a point where we think we've made an impact and we kind of, take our foot off the gas and settle down and nothing ever comes of it. And so this is a chance to really push forward and take a significant leap forward in changing the lives of African Americans and Black people in this country.
Wow, powerful. Thanks, Craig. So switching gears to COVID-19, this has been a crazy year for sports and our industry. And how are you and your team doing in managing this? And it feels like things change not weekly, but daily. So how are you and your team adjusting to this?
It was obviously an initial challenge. You're used to walking into people's offices and being able to communicate immediately. Those daily check-ins, I could just walk to their offices, say hello, and figure out what's going on. And now it's a Zoom call or a conference call. I mean, I kind of get on them because when they do call me, they want to FaceTime. Every call you don't have to physically see my face. I might be doing something that I don't want you to see. We don't have to FaceTime. You can just pick up a regular telephone and call me. But I think with anything, communication has always been important to us as a team and even more so now. But the communication, I think, is a little bit changed in terms of what you leave from those conversations or what you take from those conversations. They need to be far more clear and concise, and people need to have directives when they walk away from those conversations because you don't have those daily check-ins to remind them maybe of what was discussed in that conversation, or there's not always the follow-up as you walk away from that conference room in terms of, what your job is what your takeaway is from that. And so, those levels of communication have increased. I found that Zoom calls are extremely frustrating with more than 5 people. But, you work through those as a manager and you just make sure that everybody on your team is aware of what is going on and what their expectations are. And I think we've done a great job of that. And I'm really happy for what the team has done over these last 2 months and looking forward to what I think we can do here over the next, 6 to 12 months.
That's awesome. And you got a great team, and that's a mark of good leadership, obviously. So another loaded question here going into football. And I know that there's some uncertainty here, but how are plans unfolding for football for you? What are things looking like? And I know that there's a lot of potential scenarios, but how are things progressing?
Yeah, I think I'd like to say we're in a good spot. I mean, I feel confident in where we are. Today, we have our first communication going out to season ticket holders about what their opportunity is to participate in the 2020 season.
Great.
We started, 2 months ago with, 5 scenarios, possibly playing in the spring, starting in October or November. And now it looks like, we're headed into playing 12 games starting on time. And but a lot of the things that we'd be doing in June, we can't do just yet. The students aren't on campus. If we're trying to do things from a production standpoint or marketing in our media days and some of those small things, or, we don't know if we can sell tickets because currently based on our 20% capacity, we don't have any tickets to sell because we sold more season tickets than capacity allows. So, working through those things, but, we're looking forward to the next few months and what we're able to do. It will be challenging given this compressed timeline, but I think we're well prepared for what this looks like. And our leadership has been great with putting us in position to make decisions and move quickly when those decisions are made.
Fantastic. So, you talked about in kudos, you guys are, I think, ahead of the game going out today already with your communication season ticket holders. So talk about the 2020 season and the 2021 season. So how does all this changing landscape impact not only this year, but the future?
Obviously we're not going to be able to accommodate all of our season ticket holders in 2020 and really looking to empower our season ticket holders to kind of raise their hand and say, hey, I'm not comfortable with coming this year. I'm all in. I'm comfortable. I understand the scenario. I understand the health concerns as I enter the Coliseum, and empowering them to make that decision is first and foremost for us. We don't want it to be in our hands ultimately. And so I think we've taken the steps to get us to that point. But ultimately what I've said to the team, to all of our teams is development, marketing, ticket sales, ticket office. We all are really collaborating well to understand how each of these decisions impact each other and how we can work well together. And I think that is the mark of a really good team, complete department. And I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish, but really setting the tone for what 2020 is going to be initially, but really setting ourselves up for 2021 and making sure that 2021, we are doing everything we can to be ready for 2021 and beyond. Pushing people through the funnel if they're not trying to be part of the 2020 season. Let's make sure that we stay engaged with them throughout the season in ways that might be unconventional, things that we might not even have discovered yet. What does technology bring? And so that's what's really important for us for the next 6 months. And then where do we go in January? We might start our communication plan a little bit earlier than we typically have for the upcoming season. But I think everything's on the table right now, but we need to figure out where we're going to land in 2020. So there's a lot of decisions that still need to be made. But again, I think we're ready for the challenge and ready for those decisions to be made so we can move forward.
Awesome. Good stuff. Hey, so this one is a bit of a forward-thinking question. So, again, a lot of uncertainty this year. Fast forward to December, you look back at this year's football season. Like, what would you say is a successful season when you go forward to December?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's making sure that we have done everything in our power to keep our student athletes, our staff, and our fans healthy.
Yep.
Through these next 6 months of hopefully being able to come out to our venues. I think that's first and foremost. Definitely a few wins would be nice, but those aren't in our control. But, a few W's always makes things a little bit easier. But, successfully navigating the season with all the unknowns that are going on now, being able to be flexible and nimble with the decisions that might not be ours, I think is something that I'm hoping we pass with flying colors. And I really want to keep my team intact. I've stressed to the leadership team that, people are going to be looking for other opportunities because of the uncertainty in our industry. And if there's a way to keep the team intact, it's a lot better to go into, next season with a team that's unified, that understands each other, that is built to learn to trust each other. Yep. Is really important for me. And obviously, we might lose a few here or there, but the more people I can keep in this team, I think the more opportunity we have for success moving forward. And that's really a key component for me. And really, again, as I said, laying the foundation for 2021 and beyond. There's only so much we can do in 2020. So how do we look to 2021 and really set ourselves up to create new partnerships with companies, to build on partnerships that we have with, those that we deal with right now, like Pat Gillen, who's been great for us. Those are the important takeaways that I would like to look back on, at the end of this year.
Awesome. So you mentioned a lot about team, and you've got a great team. Yourself, Jessica, Sean, your whole team is really, really strong. And again, I think that's the mark of a good leader. So what's your leadership style, and how are you continuing to develop and lead those team members as their careers continue to grow?
I think the style has changed over the years. It's funny, it was kind of a hands-on approach where it was, I'm part of the team and I want to touch everything that they do. And I think because they've been with me so long, Kyle Fujimoto included on this in terms of direct reports, I think we just built a lot of trust in each other. The fact that, a job or a task is given to one of them, including myself, and we trust that we're going to take care of our part. And that's been a big part of our success, is being able to trust each other, to speak candidly and openly, knowing that, look, at the end of the day, your opinion does matter. We might not always go with what you feel or what you believe in, but a decision has to get made, and they've learned, or we've all learned, to stand behind that decision. That at the end of the day, the decision is made for the best for the department and not an individual. And I think that's what's gotten us, kind of ahead of the game. Is we're ready to move forward once a decision is made, but everybody feels like they're able to contribute in some way. You win some and you lose some. Fortunately for me, I feel like I can win more than I lose, since I get to make a lot of those decisions.
Awesome. Hey, Craig Kelley, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to spend time with you today.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you for joining the Thought Leaders video blog. And remember, everyone can step up and be a leader in their own way. We look forward to seeing you next time.